Hi, I'm Don Stanek, and I'm your instructor for Certified Sales Interrogator. This chapter is all about getting the story. When it comes to getting the story, we can take this and break it down into a variety of smaller categories. We want to make sure that we're getting a complete understanding of this person's past and their current state and what their future hopes and expectations are. All too often it happens that we don't get a complete understanding of somebody's situation before we start presenting homes or we start presenting some of their information to them. And then it happens that it's just not in alignment with their expectations. They don't see value in it because it doesn't have any impact or any persuasion over their understanding. And why is this? This is 100% our own fault because we haven't taken the time and effort to really fill in all the blanks. So I kind of refer to this many times as like having a block of Swiss cheese. The parts that are solid, and the parts that are not so solid, they ain't even there. As sales professionals, we have a bad habit of kind of filling in the blanks and making assumptions without asking questions. This segment is all about getting rid of the Swiss cheese, getting rid of the confusion, and breaking it down into 6 basic categories when it comes to organizing your questions to make sure you have a complete understanding. These categories are as follows: experience, urgency, ability, status, requirements, and motivation. Experience, urgency, ability, status, requirements, and motivation. So experience questions that are around experience have to do with this prospect or this customer's past experience. People have an expertise in their own past. So if you're a sales professional and you're starting to initially engage someone that you don't know very well, or maybe you're just meeting them as they're walking into an open house, or maybe you're meeting them for the first time, you have to establish some rapport. And you're going to do this by asking experience questions. You're going to ask them questions about their past experience or about their past, and they should be an expert in that. It's going to be easy for them to answer these questions. Where do you currently live? What's your favorite color? Do you like ice cream, right? These questions don't have to be deep and profound and interesting. In fact, maybe it's best that they're not. You're just trying to break the ice. Experience questions should be easy peasy for people to answer. And it should be easy for you to ask them. Now be careful, because you don't want to sound like you don't care, and you don't want to sound like you're just asking stupid questions. So you do want to advance out of these experience questions pretty quickly. So experience, urgency. The second category, the second story point, the second part of that fill in the blank we need to fill in the story is urgency. Urgency questions are imperative because a certain percentage of people that you're going to be engaging have already a very high urgency and they want to contract right away. They're ready to make a decision right now. Now, maybe 90% of the people that you're dealing with on a regular basis are not there, but the problem is if that prospect is at that high level of motivation and you don't identify it quickly, you're going to be wasting your time, you're going to be wasting their time. They're ready to make a decision, they're moving forward, and you're actually the one that's holding them back. Urgency questions have to be asked really quickly in this process to help you prioritize your follow-up. Also wants to help you prioritize your attention span. If you're in an environment where you have multiple prospects dealing with you at the same time, maybe it's an open house, or maybe it's a trade show, or maybe it's something else where I've got multiple people coming at me, I have to have the ability to sort these people really quickly. And the easiest way to sort those people quickly is to ask them questions about their time frame. Okay. Experience, urgency. Number 3 is ability. Ability questions primarily have to do with finance and capacity to contract. Okay. So if you're a realtor and you are trying to determine someone's ability to purchase a home, you need to ask them questions about mortgage. You need to ask them questions about their source of down payment. You need to ask them questions maybe about their credit. You need to ask them questions, are you planning on using a mortgage, right? Do you have to sell another property in order to procure your next property? There's a whole slew of financial questions that you have to resolve. And if you don't get these resolved, then you have a problem on your hands. Now, conversely, when I was early in my career, in my 20s, I was working with a young couple, and they presented me a letter from their lender, and they said, "Oh, we're pre-qualified to buy a home." I'm like, "Oh, that's fantastic. Wells Fargo, great mortgage company, kind of. So let's go, right?" So I put them in my car, and we're driving around, all good. And they're not buying, and they're not buying. And eventually I'm like, "So what's up? Why aren't you buying?" "Well, getting some of the down payment for my grandma." "Oh, whoops." "Grandma, whoa, 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 whoa. Where's Granny now?" What's the problem here? Even though they were financially qualified, I didn't have enough detailed understanding around that financial question to prioritize these people in such a manner as to maximize the efficiency of their search and my time. Okay? Financial questions aren't just financial questions. In fact, none of these questions are just one and done propositions. You got to go in for a deep cleaning. Number 4, status question. Status has to do with who holds the power in this relationship. Now, it's not always obvious, right? Because, for example, the example I just gave you, well, if your grandmother is contributing to the down payment, my question is she going to be involved with the paperwork? Does she have to sign a document? Does she have to sign a release letter? Is there a gift? If there are gift funds involved, is she just going to sign the document? Or does she have some authority when it comes to making the decision? Does she have to physically take a look at the property, or does she not? How involved is she going to be? Whew, it's a lot of questions. Understanding the status of the people that you're engaged with is essential. The decision maker, fundamentally, you hope, is standing in front of you. But are there roadblocks to that person's ability to make the decision? Are they going to defer their authority to somebody else? And that's not always a power struggle, but sometimes it's a power struggle. You have to be able to formulate questions around the status of the people that you're interacting with. Do you have the decision makers present? Are all parties present at this time? More times than I care to experience, I've gone to a listing presentation, and it's a husband and wife going to sell their home, and I show up, and one of them's not there. Like the husband's not there, the wife's not there. At which point, I don't go forward with the presentation, even though maybe the husband says, "Well, tell me the information, I'll tell my wife, and then she'll sign it," right? Baloney. If all the decision makers aren't present, I'm not going forward. Why? Because I have to make sure that everyone's on the same page here, right? And if they're not all on the same page, it's going to create a problem for me. I'm going to have an objection, or I'm going to have an obstacle later in this process that might be insurmountable. I'm wasting my time. I'm wasting their time. Okay? Experience, urgency, ability, status, requirements. Requirements are just the basic utility of what you're trying to sell. So in real estate, we're talking about, hey, it's a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 2-car garage, and it's got to be near the interstate or near the freeways so I can commute. I want my commute less than 20 minutes, less than 30 minutes. These are all the basic utility questions associated with selecting a house, right? What is the basic utility? Should be very easy to answer, and they're also very non-emotional, typically, because it's just a laundry list of basic requirements. So here's the thing. Most sales professionals only talk about, well, money, time, and what do you want? Well, I want a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, and 2-car garage. Well, if you're a realtor, then you know that probably describes like 15 or 20% of all the properties in the United States. So understanding that they want 3 bedrooms isn't really advancing your sale. All it is giving you a basic requirement. Now, this brings us to the last category, which is motivation, right? Experience, urgency, ability, status, requirements. Now, motivation. Motivation category in the story is trying to understand what is the key to action when it comes to this person to move forward. They might be listing their home, they might be looking to purchase a home, or they might be looking for something else, depending on what industry you're in. However, If you don't know their key to action, their core motivation, it's going to be really difficult for you to kind of encourage them to get to a threshold where they're actually going to make a decision. So being able to formulate questions in all of these story data points is essential for you to be able to craft out and get the complete story. If you don't have the complete story, it's going to be incredibly difficult for you to persuade this person to the best possible conclusion. Now, I didn't say coerce them. I said persuade them. Persuade them. You're a sales professional, and your job is to engage people and identify needs and wants, right? How do you identify those needs and wants? You have to document their past state, story. What is your past story? What is your current situation? And then you start going into presentation, which is the future state. We're going to take your past experience and your current situation, we're going to project it off into the future, and we're going to use these questions in our story to be able to position our presentation in a much more effective way. If you're struggling with trying to understand the basic categories of the story, for goodness sakes, don't be a stranger. Get on my calendar. I don't care if you've just started this program, you're in the middle of the program, or you've already completed and gotten your certificate. I'm here to help you in any way that I can.